it going? It's just a quick catch up to explain what's going on. The fishing is not going terribly well. The only thing I seem to be catching right now is puffer fish. Lots of puffers, and that's not much good to me as far as content. Japan is a place I've always wanted to visit. There's various facets of Japanese culture in my content, and one of which is the ikejime process, and I've learned more about it since I've been here, and some of you might be interested in why the Japanese people do it. This is not going to be an in-depth video, it's just a short one. This is an ikejime wire. This one is just tempered steel, stainless steel, right? And it does the job, but there are better materials for it. And when I came to Japan, is something I wanted to get hold of was some ikejime wires. When you ikejime a fish, whether you've tried this or not, if the wire is not closely matched to the diameter of the spinal channel, it will cause you problems with removing the spinal cord, for instance. So I've tried it on bigger fish with thinner wires and it doesn't really work very well. So I wanted to have more range. So ideally what you want is something a little bit more flexible. And in Japan they have them in spades. This is it here. This is the same diameter as this. It's 1.2. And this is something I'd use for cod, 8 to 10 pounds to 15 pounds. And that does the job perfectly. This is just a bog standard ikejime wire I use. If you wanted me to do a video on how to make one of these, just ask. It's not very difficult. Anybody can do it. There's just a few little parts in it to retain it. It's very simple. But it's not that these don't work and they're not easy to use or anything else. But sometimes they get kinked, and if the spinal channel is too thin, you will have problems with it. I have made some myself in the past that were made from nickelized titanium. The thing is with nickelized titanium is it doesn't kink. I'll demonstrate for you. This is one here I use for flat fish, and that it's because it's a really thin diameter. And as I was saying before, it's not great for all fish, right? Right? Because of the diameter, it doesn't remove enough of the spinal tissue. I needed something a little bit more substantial, and if the wire is the same or close to the same diameter as the spinal channel, you can have problems trying to get the wire down the fish. Now when fish get bigger like halibut and so on, then you need a little bit more, right? And it goes all the way up to this wonderful tool here. I picked this up as well. This one here is 2 mil, one for the bigger fish like halibut and big cod. Maybe hake. Hake have a huge channel. So this is one here. You have to be kind of careful. I just gotta give you a quick look at the wire, that's it. So that's it there. And as you can see, just like the other one, it doesn't kink or anything else. And also I didn't have to put a weird handle on it. It comes with one as well. So this is just some of the benefits of visiting Japan. Also, you can't really see it, but it's got little notches cut in the steel to help remove some of that spinal material. And this is also very important. One of the reasons why they ikejime fish is actually for sushi and sashimi. And the reason is to lower the growth of bacteria in the flesh by removing the spinal cord and also bleeding the fish. And if you want to see that video, I'll link it in the description. But that's actually the main reason why they do it, is to make it safe for human consumption. And in other places in the world where this is not popularized and it's not practiced, they freeze the fish to below -70. And doubtless this will affect the flavor of the fish. Somebody's going to write in and say, no, it doesn't. You don't know until you've tried honest to goodness ikejime fish, fresh, like the same day or the day after. It can survive to up to a week. But at that point, I'm not eating it raw, I'm cooking it. It makes the fish better either way. And safer fish, more tasty fish is better fish. I'm going to do more videos on this later on in the channel. And it comes in its own sheath. It's fantastic. You're going to see this in future videos. This is the kind of stuff you can pick up here in Japan. This I've actually seen on the internet. You can get it from the States for like $15 or something like that, not including postage. So when I do a video on this, if you like, you can go out and buy it. This one here you probably won't be able to find. But this one has a spike and a wire in it, as well as a sheath. So some of the problems I have with the tools that I make myself is the spikes, for instance, they don't come with a sheath. And this can be a bit of a problem sometimes if you lose the sheath off the end of it. Like, I just use pieces of rubber like this. Now normally I'd attach them to the handle as well in a loop, but I push this through it and it comes around to the top, but it always seems to break off. But this is the type of tool that I use there. That's a leather working tool. You can just sharpen a screwdriver as well. There's no need to spend that much money on this. I was here anyway, so these tools are just as cheap or cheaper than a screwdriver, for instance, for me to buy over our side of the world. And ease of operation has always been a problem for me, right? So I'm not looking for bits after I've butchered a fish and stuff scattered all over the beach because I'm fishing out of a bag mostly. And this is something else. This is the spike, the Ikejime spike. This one's really nice. It's got a short thread on it. That's it. Very nice indeed. Nice hollow handle. And so it goes on like just as easy as it went out. That's it, it's on, right? And it's got this hole up the top there. What I plan to do is, because I'm always searching for these things, I'm going to wear that around my neck. I'm going to put a bit of string through there when I'm fishing, so that will always be handy there for fishing, for getting the fish. Doesn't take a second to turn it out. Fantastic. Maybe I'll put it around my neck. It's an idea I've had anyway. So that's some of the cool tackle I've got over here. Things are a lot cheaper here. For instance, I got this Daiwa BG 4500, and you won't believe how much I paid for it. Like, seriously, €50. Fantastic, right? Beautiful reel, 10 kilo drag. I'm going to do something about that, bump it up a little bit. If you'd like to see how you do that, I'll do a video on it one day. It's extremely easy. But what else did I get while I was here in Japan? Well, obviously I came here with no gear because of the expense, right? And I needed some new tackle anyway. So on my return home, I'll be coming home with some tackle that I won't be able to get my hands on back in Europe. Because if you know anything about the fishing world, right, although the companies are all the same all over the world, right? Pure Fishing is down here just the same as it is up where we are. Whatever, Daiwa make rods here, they make them all over the world. For instance, they make rods for South Africa, and they actually pass through Europe, but we can't get our hands on them because there's no market for them in Europe. So you can't get your hands on them. Even though they're there or in the warehouses in Holland, we can't get our hands on them, and they get shipped straight to Africa then, right? So it's just the way it goes. But this is one of these things that we can't get that is made by Abu, for instance. But this is one of them here. Just shake the water off this rod because I've been using it. And I like Asian fishing tackle because it suits what I do, right? There's not many people in Europe making tackle for short fishing in Norway. You can get gear for it, but most often times it's boat gear. And I'm always like caught in between two worlds. But this is a shore jigging rod, and I featured it in my introductory to Japan. That's it there. The Abu Salty style, 30 to 100 grams, PE 2 to 4, right? I was kind of in between rods. I could either jump from my 30 to 70 and then I'm on to 50 to 120. Well, that wasn't too good, so now I've bridged the gap with this rod here. It's beautiful, just a hair over 10 feet long, 10.3, perfect length for shore angling in Norway. I mean, it's just fantastic, loads of power, beautiful action. Also, I picked up this reel as well. This is a Shimano Nasik, and it's got 11 kilo drag. It's a 5,000, right? The rod set me back 50 quid, euros, right? Unbelievable deal. And the reel, guess what? Brand new as well, 45 euros. Fantastic. One of the reasons I like the Japanese culture is their thinking about design. And I like to design a lot of my own tackle. And it's always simple and functional. To demonstrate this is a Japanese fishing knife, right? It's very cheap, cost me a tenner. This is one of the knives I picked up. And as I was saying, designing over here is just amazing. So, right, now I don't need a sheath. I can't lose the sheath, right? How cool is that, right? There you go. Lovely little knife. Fantastic, a tenner, right? Interestingly enough, I don't know if you know about knives, but you've probably seen a few over your way. They have a bevel on both sides in the West. A lot of knives over here only have a bevel on one side, which actually makes it easier to sharpen them. I'm into free sharpening. Having sharp knives is a must, in my opinion. And this is something I enjoy to do. And I'm not too sure about the reasoning behind only having one side on a knife, but it makes it much easier to sharpen. This one's just for fishing, obviously. I'm not preparing fish for the table with it, but it's very cool. The design is excellent, right? Yes, there's no links for any of this stuff. You can only get this here. So yeah, that's the gear I picked up while I was here. The jigging hasn't been going very well. I have fished baits on them as well. And the rigs have come back with no hooks on, which an Australian fellow told me would happen because the puffers come along and they got these little beaks and they snip your hooks off and you're done, right? So I've ordered a surf rod. Interestingly enough, I thought it was going to be easy to get surf gear here in Japan. No, it's not, right? It's like being a detective sometimes when you go and fish in other countries and you go to look for the tackle and you wonder why isn't that there? Why don't they fish like that? You know, you say to yourself and you're thinking, they're just not into it or whatever. But a few sessions on the beach and a load of missing hooks, and I've kind of realised that the puffer fish are a bit of a problem. And the Japanese like to fish for edible fish for the table. A lot of people do, you know, but I'm more sport orientated, and if I can eat it as well, that's all the better. But on here, so they fish 5 meter rods with multipliers like we have in Europe, and they ship them down here as well. Like things like this are kind of cheap, but multiplier reels and all that kind of thing are kind of expensive here, and they use them in a different way. They use them with floats and with feeders. I'll just show you one of the feeders they have. This is one of the feeders they have here, and this has got a weight in the bottom of it, and they'll fish this in many different ways. They'll either add more weight to the bottom and they fish a boom like this guy here along the bottom on another weight. It's kind of complicated, and obviously you put a load of food in there. They do this many different ways, and they fish for like bream and stuff like that with it anyway. So that's the kind of setup they use in those rods I was talking about. And they're fishing mono as well. They're not fishing braid. Reels and the rods, they're not great for what I want to do. So I've had to ship some in from Europe. It's on its way. You get here tomorrow most likely. Hopefully I'll get some fish for you in the future. But that's a quick update here in Japan. Hope I haven't bored you all too badly. I'm Billy, this is Billy in Japan, wherever you are in the world. Remember, hopefully I'll see you on the beach. Bye.